Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's I'm going to be comparing the Infiniti QX80 against the Yukon Denali. Now this is not the comparison that I wanted to do. I personally wanted to do QX80 versus Escalade, but Escalades are completely sold out. And then the next best option would have been the Yukon Denali Ultimate, but guess what? Those are also sold out, so this is the next best thing. This is the best possible test I can put together to compare GM's full-size SUV against Infiniti's. Anyways, link to Jerry Signer GMC here in South Jordan's website in the description down below. They're the ones that are providing us with the Yukon. Link to my car buying guide too. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the Yukon is a 6.2 liter V8 naturally aspirated, goes through a 10-speed. It puts out 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. Behind the Infiniti is a twin-turbo 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed. It puts out 450 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now when it comes to the front end of the GMC, you can see lots of chrome. They do the same thing on the Ultimate. They also do the same thing on the Escalade. Now I find the light design here with the new Yukon to be very fascinating. The new Escalade light design is also fascinating as well. Fog lights down below, of course. And yeah, definitely big and in your face. And Infiniti has gone all out. I mean, huge grille, just like you have on the GMC. And split light design, interestingly enough. You can see the light cluster down below. But yeah, taking a look at the front ends of both of these, definitely large and imposing. When it comes to wheels, both of these have 22s. You can see here, you've got the silver and the gray trim. And sorry about the Infiniti. I drove it through the dirt lot here. You can see there's tons of mud and everything, so got the wheels a little bit dirty. Anyways, you got fixed side steps on the Infiniti. The GM has these power side steps. You can see the Denali badge there. This is kind of cool on the Infiniti. And then notice the nice painted mirror caps on both of them. Here's the side profile of the Yukon. This one is an XL. And then here is the QX80. You can only get this in one size, so there's not like an XL version like there is with the Yukon. Now taking a look at the cargo area in the Infiniti, you can see that there's not a crazy amount of space behind the third row. You notice they give you this little storage shelf here in the back. But what's cool is you can automatically raise and lower the third row, the second row. You can just lower that down. There's no auto raise. And then you can raise and lower the rear suspension to make access easier. But I'd say this is a little bit smaller than like the standard size Yukon with the storage space behind the third row. Now, like I said, you can get an XL with the Yukon, or you can get the standard version. The standard version is going to cut off at roughly that point. So I guess it's actually not that much bigger in terms of the rear storage compared to the Infiniti, but it is a little bit. Anyways, same seat controls there. And then this one doesn't have the air suspension, so there's no fancy features there, but yeah, nice storage area. This leads us inside of the QX80, and this is where I think the QX80 really shines. So really tight fit and finish and really nice materials throughout. I'd say normal Japanese fashion. Japanese automakers do a really good job with just how premium the trim feels. And then that continues onto these seats. Look how nice those are. And then you got these plush carpets here in the back. Plenty of leg room. And then there's the controls here for the climate and everything in the rear. And you've got a little screen too, so they've doubled down on the tech big time. Now one downside is the floor. So you can see the floor is lower here than in the third row in the back. It's not a huge difference, but it is a slight difference. It does push your legs up a little bit. But the third row seats are really premium looking. And then headroom back there is pretty good overall. Now taking a look at the door panel in the GM, you can see that it's definitely more rugged with the overall design, which I think looks really cool. And then that continues onto the seats as well. Got little TVs in the back. You can still control your own climate zone here in the rear. You can see the heated seat controls too. The Infiniti, by the way, has heated, cooled massaging seats for the second row. I forgot to mention that a little bit earlier. But the biggest thing I want to touch base on is the space. So notice it's flat all the way across to the rear. So that provides better space for the third row in the Yukon compared to the Infiniti in terms of headroom and then legroom as well. Now this brings us to the front of the Infiniti. Again, really nice trim with the door panel. You can see the memory seat function, blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. And then these seats up front are also heated, cooled, and have massage function, which you can get in an Escalade, by the way. And then you got some of the safety tech there on the side. Steering wheel is power adjustable. And popping it on, Boom! Full digital cluster there. And they've got a huge infotainment system as well. And by the way, this does have a pretty nice 360 camera system. I think this is pretty good with the resolution too. But anyways, really nice trim on the steering wheel here. And the thing I want to focus on is the materials just feel higher quality. Never reviewed the new Escalade. They feel higher quality than we have in GM, like this trim here, for example. All of this just feels a little bit nicer. And yeah, you've got this auxiliary screen for like the climate. Very interesting. But I mean, the Escalade literally has a screen all the way across the dash. We've got a camera rear view mirror with this, and then a nice premium headliner as well. And interestingly enough, this is actually in between price-wise between an Escalade and a Yukon. So if you get a Denali Ultimate, those are like just over $100,000. This is about 100. This one, I think it's about 114. Whereas an Escalade with similar options, you're looking at like almost $130,000. So it's right between a Denali Ultimate and a Escalade in terms of pricing. Now taking a look at the door panel with the Yukon again, you got nice rugged trim there. You've got your memory seats, see all the window controls and everything. And just notice the kind of plasticky feel with the switchgear. And then here's the front seat, Denali there. Pretty cool trim. You can see all the physical controls, and they do still have a lot of physical controls with the Yukon. The Escalade gets rid of a lot of the physical buttons. And popping it on, boom, full digital gauge cluster. This one also has the Super Cruise, which is cool. And then big infotainment system with a 360 camera. I don't feel like it's any better than the Infinitis. I think they're pretty similar in terms of the camera. What's definitely cool is this little storage in the Yukons. I like that. I think that's a nice thing. Got the cool wood trim that goes across. Heated and ventilated seats with this. And then you can see this cool center console space. Lots of storage in here, which is really nice. And then you got stuff like a camera rear view mirror, which the Infiniti has that too. And then you've got a big sunroof up top. This one, stickers for like $96,000, but like I said, if we had an Ultimate, that would be over 100. So with that being said, let's take these both out and see which one performs the best. If you're wondering why GMs always have the seatbelts buckled, it's because they require you to have the seatbelt buckled to put it into gear. You can turn the setting off if you want, but it's factory default. So a lot of people at dealerships just pre-buckle the seats. So if they have to like move it over a parking space, they don't have to buckle up to do that. Now, I understand this comparison is not great, but this is the best I can put together for right now. And if you guys want to see, I guess, further stuff, I'll try to put something together in the future. But it's hard right now with, like I said, Escalades are sold out. Denali Ultimates sold out. So this is what I have to offer. This is what I have to offer. Now, here's where I think GM just wins in the full-size SUV segment. Comfort. Now, I'm not talking about the seats. You definitely have to move up to the Escalade to get like really comfortable seats. But the ride quality with GM SUVs is just the best. And this doesn't even have air suspension. You add air suspension and it's even more plush. I think they've just done a really good job with tuning this over the years to where it is just super comfortable. Now obviously still having a V8 means you got instant response, which is quite appealing. And these handle pretty well. Again, both cars have independent suspension all around. But GM's just done, again, this has been their bread and butter for a long time, these big full-size SUVs, and so they've done a lot to improve them over the years. One thing that I will note, however, about the GM SUVs is even in the luxury packages, they don't feel crazy premium. What I've kind of noticed is, and it's not, and what I mean by premium is, it's not about, like I said, the ride's great, all of that's great. It's just the materials. Like, this is pretty nice, actually, but you can do an Escalade and it, you know, a lot of stuff has like a plasticky feel instead of a nice, substantial, kind of expensive metallic feel like you'd want at that price point that you have like with an Escalade or something. So that is just something to note, is that some of the materials just don't feel the best. This is going to be so difficult with this window sticker here. Wish me luck. Right? Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. So that is the one thing, and you see with the switchgear and everything, like it's very, I mean, some of this is kind of nice feeling, but some of it's just super cheap feeling. And other manufacturers have shown that you can make plastics feel premium. You just have to put a little bit of effort into it. So that's it. That's the biggest thing that I'll criticize GM for. But the space, that's an undeniable upside. The ride quality, the V8 powertrain. So yeah, they really are the best in the game for the most part. And that's why they are able to get the price premiums that they ask for these vehicles compared to their competitors, because GM is the most expensive in the full-size SUV segment. Everyone else is less expensive with their vehicles. So let's pop into the Infiniti. Okay. Let us set off in the QX80. See how this performs. Now, right off the bat, even compared to a non-XL Yukon, because by the way, I've driven XL and non-XL, you don't really feel the difference in the size. They both pretty much feel about the same, and that's one of the big benefits of going to XL, right, is you get more space and it doesn't really feel like it drives any different. It parks different, right, because you got a little bit longer booty, but that's about it. This drives like a completely different car. So I'd say the Yukon drives more truck-like. This drives more SUV-like, if that makes sense. So this kind of, the Yukon just feels like it is an actual truck SUV. So it's kind of like big, heavy, floaty. This feels kind of like a Land Cruiser in a way. That's kind of one way that you could look at it. So it's still like a big, heavy, substantial vehicle, but it definitely feels a bit less floaty and truck-like. It actually feels like it handles quite a bit better, and some people might like that. Like this doesn't even feel like it's in the same size category, even though it's just a little bit shorter. And it's about, like I said, it's about the same size as a non-XL, a little bit shorter if I remember right with the dimension specs, but it's not as big of a difference as you might think. Now, when it comes to air suspension and all that, what I'd have to say is GM has nailed the air suspension comfort thing. This is comfortable, but the GM when you have a GM SUV with air suspension, it is more comfortable. So that is a big benefit from that perspective. Yeah, super smooth. It's a torque curve. I like that. Now, you don't have the instant response that you get with the V8 and the Yukon, but this is, I would say, responsive enough that it's not really a problem, my take. I'll get a little acceleration here, and then that'll sum things up. Yeah, not bad at all. So which one should you go for? Well, if you need space, obviously, you know, the GM SUVs provide more space because they have an XL version. But if you're looking at the non-XL and you're comparing to this and you're just looking for like a big luxury SUV, the biggest benefit that I see with Infiniti is it offers all the features and all the tech at a lower price point. First off, it has a nicer interior in terms of the fit and finish, the material. Everything just kind of has more of a durable feel to it. It doesn't feel as cheap as what you have in the GM product. So you just feel like you're in a more premium vehicle that way. And it's more unique, right? Everyone has an Escalade. Everyone that makes, you know, money buys an Escalade. But Infinitis, right, they're less common, so you got something that's a little bit more unique on the road. But let me know which way you'd go.